Alright, welcome to the channel and to the Speedy Space Marine series. Today we're going to be tackling the Alpha Legion, a legion known for their cunning and secretive methods throughout the Horus Heresy. I am Alpharius and all of the paints you'll need will be listed below in the description, so let's get into it. Okay, so starting from a base of dark aluminium or dark aluminum depending on where you're from, we're going to follow up with some aluminium from Vallejo metal color. We're going to hit all of the parts where the light is interacting with the model. So these are going to be all of the upward facing areas, so like the shoulders, top of the backpack, back of the legs, outside of the legs, top of the arms, top of the head, all the usual spots. Now to get that classic blue look to our Alpha Legion, we're going to follow it up with a filter or a wash of Drakenhof Nightshade. We're going to apply this essentially all over the dark sections or the lower regions of the silvers. Now using the silver base allows some of that to show through, so this is almost like a candy coat in a way. We're starting off with quite a thin consistency here because we want to be able to set the foundation and we want to be able to build this colour gradually. And whenever I'm applying the colour, I'm pulling it towards the recesses and trying to avoid it pooling in any weird ways. You could do this with a contrast paint as well if you have a blue contrast that you prefer instead of this colour. It works the same way. You'd still want to thin it down and apply it over the model. Also, the fact that the Drakenhof Nightshade is quite dark and low in value, it'll provide that shading and separation between the components and the plates. So it automatically acts as a recess shade as well. Now I'm applying this with size 2 Series M from Artis Opus. Again, you can use whatever brush you're comfortable with. There are some tricky areas like between those bolts on the shoulder pad, but anywhere that you want to leave as silver, try to avoid hitting with any of these shades. Then following up with some Biel-Tan Green, and we're going to pull this up towards the brighter areas. Now in all of the artwork that you see with Alpha Legion, they have this blue and green tone to their armor, almost like a color shift effect. And in a number of the tutorials that I've seen so far, they don't include this step. I think it's a super important part. Also, Alpha Legion tend to be one of my favorite legions, so I want to spend a wee bit of extra time making this guy look super cool. So you can see we're moving in the opposite direction that we did with the Drakenhof Nightshade, pulling this all towards the brighter areas, ensuring that we get that green tone at the top where the light is interacting with the plates. Now I follow this up with 2-3 coats depending on the intensity of the color that you want to show through and how much of that metallic layer you want to cover up. Again, you want to be keeping this quite thin. Add some additional water to ensure that you don't get any harsh transitions or tide lines appearing in the model. Ensure that you wipe away any excess. We only want to be using this as a filter layer over the top. Following up with some of the Drakenhof Nightshade again, we're just coming in and smoothing out those transitions between the green and the blue, also intensifying the blue color in our shadow sections. Now we're going to take some Abaddon black and we're going to paint in all of the rubberized sections of the model. So try to get it between all those armor plates. Try not to hit any of the sections that you did before. The reason why we're doing this now is because whenever we're applying the washes, sometimes it seeps into the recesses and we didn't want it staining any of those black sections. So just work around the model, take your time, try to cover all of those areas. It may take 2 coats depending on how thin you've made your Abaddon black, but generally it should only take 1 pass. Over the bolter we want to hit all of the gun casing, so we want to avoid all of the metal components that are in there. If you manage to hit any, don't worry, come back in with some aluminum or aluminium or even the dark aluminium to ensure you have a nice solid base there. Now with the gun I did apply 2 coats of Abaddon black here just to ensure I had a nice consistent and opaque base. We're going to follow up with a thinned down version of Abaddon black, essentially creating our own wash here. You could do this with Nuln Oil or your preferred black wash. I just like to use Abaddon black because if I'm covering some sections that I've painted black, it's not going to change the finish. We're just going to apply this all over the exposed silver areas now just to darken them down and create some separation between those components. Just add in some shades, some tonal variation, that sort of thing. Now to get that grim dark look to our 30k Marine, we're going to come in with some Mournfang brown. We're going to apply that over those black rubberized sections. This will act as like some dirt, dust, debris that's, you know, stuck to the armor through the course of the battle. We're also going to apply it over some of the silver sections, and this will act as, you know, rust, oil, grease, anything like that that would naturally, you know, accrue over the course of the battle. And even if your black wash isn't dry from beforehand, if the colors mix together, it's not a problem. It just adds in more tonal variation and can actually be quite desirable most of the time. I'm going to do the same with the gun, just adding in some of that rust and dirt across the bolter in various different areas. And then we want to use this on the feet. Because we're doing like a sandy, kind of deserty wasteland base, this helps to incorporate the model into the base and helps provide some additional shading and tonal variation across the model. Now for the eyes, we're going to start off with a base of Xereus purple. We're going to apply that over the lens thing on the top of the head and then over the entire lens. Following up with some Emperor's Children, create a 50-50 mix of Xereus purple and Emperor's Children, and then just apply that towards the inner corner and lower edge of the lens. I'm still using a size 2 brush here, but if you're more comfortable using a 0 or a 00, by all means go ahead and do that. Following up with some Emperor's Children, we're just going to place a dot towards the inner corner of each lens. Now grab yourself some titanium white or your preferred white paint and thin this down to the point where you're able to create small dots along your fingernail. Add in these dots to the rear corner of each lens to give you that glint effect in the back, and that's pretty much it. So we get to put the model together, we get to look at it in its completion, and this is pretty much your finished version of your Alpha Legion. Let's pop them on the base, get a bit of a better look. You can see how those browns have helped to incorporate the model into the base and give it that more organic look. You can see how those blue tones come through underneath and those nice strong greens on the top. But let's get them on the spinny thing and let's get a proper look. So Alpha Legion happened to be one of my favorite legions from the 30k universe, and I thought this was a very cool rendition. I thought it was a slightly different take by incorporating in those greens, gives you a more dynamic color range and makes your models appear more interesting. Also, that complement of the purple in the eyes works really well with the greens and the blues. Can't wait to see your finished Alpha Legion, and if you enjoyed the process, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hopefully you found that useful. If you have any comments, questions or suggestions for future videos, please drop them below in the comments. And if you want to take your painting to the next level, I have a Patreon that's focused around feedback and coaching. You also get access to exclusive guides and content. If you want to show me what you've been working on or what you've been using these videos for, please head over to the Discord and drop some pics into the whips or the completed projects. I would love to see what you've been doing. Just want to say thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you at the next one.
All links can be found below in the description.